Really interesting panel there and discussion between Ian, Mark, and Alistair. Very interesting topics here around specialist skills that are needed in various locations, IR35, diversity and inclusion. This is one of my favorite topics, and it's great to see that there's an increased view on that. I like to use a hashtag that I call be and bring your whole self, and do that every day. And that really brings out the best in teams as well. My name is Henrik Smedberg. I have the pleasure of heading up SAP's Intelligent Spend Management in UK and Ireland, and I've been in this space for a long time. I get to present a few different topics quickly from various locations within my home to you this afternoon, and I hope that you get some great insights from it. I want to start with a couple of numbers, referring to a study that we recently did, SAP, together with Oxford Economics, where we looked at trends within external workforce and contingent labor. Very interesting numbers. 42% of the total workforce right now is spent on external labor. And 62% of executives say that external labor not only helps them reduce risks, but also increases their speed to market. 54% of executives say that they could actually not operate their business as usual without the external workforce helping them out at this point. That's a huge shift in how the traditional way of running businesses were done versus today, when we look at those specialized skills and we want to source them from really whenever and wherever we can to fill gaps in our production. Similar studies done by McKinsey say that 70% of executives plan to hire more contingent labor after the pandemic to make sure that they can find talent and the right talent to cope with demands that are incoming. Of course, this is going to be a really big challenge, but hey, the good news is that with the technology that we've all got used to, you can work really from anywhere. I think people have really enjoyed the work-life balance that finally can be held when you can transition from having a meeting in a very different location to being home and at the dinner table at 6 p.m. immediately. And I think that is something that, at least I know, I have really appreciated that silver lining of this last year. And large companies such as Facebook, Google, and us as SAP have also encouraged people to work from home to make sure that, of course, we're all safe in our workplaces, but also made pledges going forward that we will allow people to have flexible work locations going forward. And it's interesting to see how people have now sometimes left the big cities and working from other locations where they can also have cleaner air, healthier lifestyles, being closer to family, and so on. And that has a great effect, I think, on society as a whole. Mind you, obviously, we have some things that we will also have to cope with in this pandemic. But hey, the silver linings are important to remember and cherish these days as well. It's also very interesting to look at HR departments and what they're planning to do. There are signals and trends, and some studies say that up to 80% of the entire workforce might be contingent or freelance labor in 2030. Think about that. 80% of an organization's workforce could potentially be done by flexible locations from people doing not just the regular full-time jobs that we've seen, but potentially doing part-time jobs where you need those specialized skills to come in and fill a gap and really make sure that some things that you might not need someone employed for a long time can come in, and it's going to be cheaper and faster to get access to that. Now, of course, how do you find them? I believe that it's very important to have a strategy for this because people will be competing for the same skills and knowledge as well. So what I've seen is that there are certain things that we need to plan for now in finding people, and then of course keeping them, and then making sure that we're competitive, not just from our side, but from their side as well. Being a buyer of choice, I think, is suddenly something that is a really interesting topic for us all to consider. When the supplier makes the rules, we have to figure out what can we do as buyers to be competitive and be attractive as employers, even if it's full-time or flexible when we take people in and out of our organizations more with external workforce. So takeaways from this session, start thinking about it. How do you become a buyer of choice? How do you make sure that you're attractive and attracting the right talent to come in as your external workforce to balance up the full-time workforce that you have? I'm looking forward to lots of interesting topics coming up today, and please reach out if you want more information and numbers from this study that we recently did.